The Roman Empire. For centuries it stood as a beacon of power, wealth and civilization. From the misty shores of Britannia to the sun-baked sands of Syria, Rome's writ was law. Its legions were unmatched, its emperors revered, its culture envied. Yet nothing lasts forever. What was once mighty can crumble. And crumble it did. By the 5th century AD, the Western Roman Empire was a shadow of its former self. The once invincible legions were now shadows, preyed upon by barbarian tribes. The emperors, once god-kings, were now puppets, often at the mercy of their own troops. The empire, once a byword for order, was now consumed by chaos. What led to this stunning reversal of fortune? How did the mightiest empire the world had ever known collapse into ruin? The answers are complex, a tapestry woven from many threads. But by examining the key factors, political instability, economic decline, military defeats and social decay, we can begin to understand the fall of the Western Roman Empire. This wasn't a rapid collapse, but a slow decline, a gradual erosion of power and influence that culminated in one of history's most significant turning points. The year 476 AD marks the traditional date for the fall of the Western Roman Empire. It's a date etched in the minds of historians and students alike. But the Roman Empire didn't fall in a day. It was a process, a slow burn that unfolded over centuries. To understand it, we need to delve deeper, to examine the factors that ate away at Rome's foundations, like termites in the timbers of a once mighty fortress. At the heart of Rome's decline was a disease as old as empire itself, political corruption. The Roman Republic, with its emphasis on citizen participation and checks on power, had given way to the Roman Empire, where emperors ruled with absolute authority. This shift in power, while initially successful, sowed the seeds of Rome's eventual demise. Emperors, often more concerned with personal enrichment and courtly intrigue than with governing, neglected the needs of the people. Corruption flourished, bribery became commonplace, and the machinery of government ground to a halt. The empire, vast and unwieldy, was plagued by constant civil wars. Generals, their eyes on the throne, frequently turned their legions on Rome itself, plunging the empire into chaos. Each new emperor seemed to bring with him a fresh wave of purges and executions, further weakening the already fragile political structure. This instability at the top had a ripple effect throughout Roman society. With no strong central authority to maintain order, lawlessness and banditry became rampant. The empire, once a model of stability and good governance, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. Rome's military might and opulent lifestyle came at a steep price. Constant warfare drained the imperial treasury, while lavish spending by the elite further strained the economy. To fund its ever-growing expenses, Rome resorted to debasing its currency. This led to rampant inflation, which hit the poor and middle classes the hardest. As the value of their savings dwindled, so too did their faith in the empire. Trade, the lifeblood of any empire, also suffered. Piracy disrupted sea lanes, while barbarian incursions made land routes increasingly dangerous. The once bustling ports of the Mediterranean fell silent, and the flow of goods and wealth into Rome slowed to a trickle. This economic decline created a vicious cycle. With less tax revenue, the government was unable to maintain its infrastructure or pay its legions. This, in turn, led to further instability, as disgruntled soldiers were more likely to desert or turn to banditry. The empire was caught in a downward spiral, and there seemed to be no way out. The Roman legions, once the terror of the known world, were now a pale imitation of their former selves. Constant warfare had taken its toll, and the legions were increasingly reliant on foreign mercenaries to fill their ranks. These mercenaries, lacking the discipline and loyalty of Roman citizens, were often more trouble than they were worth. Moreover, Rome faced a new kind of enemy, barbarian tribes driven westward by the Huns, a nomadic people from Central Asia. These tribes, such as the Visigoths, Ostrogoths and Vandals, were desperate for land and resources, and they were more than willing to fight for them. Rome, weakened by internal strife and economic woes, was ill-prepared to meet this new challenge. Barbarian incursions became more frequent and more destructive, culminating in a series of devastating defeats. The aura of invincibility that had once surrounded the Roman legions was shattered. Section 5. A people divided, social decay. The Roman Empire had always been a society of stark contrasts. With a wealthy elite, enjoying a life of luxury, while the masses struggled to survive. However, as the empire declined, this social divide became a chasm. The elite, more concerned with preserving their own privileges than with the fate of the empire, retreated behind the walls of their villas. They turned a blind eye to the plight of the common people, who were increasingly burdened by taxes, inflation, and the threat of barbarian raids. This indifference bred resentment, eroding the bonds that held Roman society together. As the empire crumbled around them, the Roman people lost faith in their leaders, their institutions, and even in themselves. The once proud citizens of Rome were now a disillusioned and divided people, ripe for conquest. Section 6. The Sack of Rome, a defining moment. The year 410 AD, a date forever etched in infamy. For it was in this year that the unthinkable happened. Rome, the eternal city, was sacked. The perpetrators were the Visigoths, a barbarian tribe that had been allowed to settle within the empire's borders. Led by their king Alaric, the Visigoths had been mistreated and exploited by Roman officials. Fed up with Roman treachery, they rose up in revolt. Their target, the heart of the empire itself. The sack of Rome was a watershed moment. It sent shockwaves throughout the empire and beyond, shattering the illusion of Roman invincibility. If Rome could fall, then no city, no empire was safe. The psychological impact of this event cannot be overstated. It marked the beginning of the end for the Western Roman Empire. Section 7. The long shadow of collapse, birth of an era. The Western Roman Empire did not vanish overnight. It lingered on for several more decades, its death throes marked by further barbarian invasions, political instability, and economic collapse. However, the sack of Rome in 410 AD had dealt a mortal blow. In 476 AD, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain. This event, though largely symbolic, is traditionally seen as marking the end of the Western Roman Empire. The fall of the Western Roman Empire had profound consequences for Europe and the world. It ushered in a new era, the Middle Ages. With the central authority of Rome gone, Europe fragmented into a patchwork of smaller kingdoms and principalities, often at war with one another. The fall of Rome also led to a decline in literacy, trade, and urban life. Much of the knowledge and infrastructure of the classical world was lost, ushering in a period of intellectual and cultural stagnation. The Dark Ages had begun. Section 8. Echoes of Rome, Legacy and Lessons. Though the Western Roman Empire is no more, its legacy continues to shape the world we live in today. Roman law, language, architecture, and engineering have all left their mark on Western civilization. The fall of Rome also offers valuable lessons for our own time. It reminds us that even the mightiest empires are not immune to decline, and that the seeds of destruction are often sown from within. It teaches us the importance of strong leadership, sound economic policies, and a cohesive society. Most importantly, perhaps, the fall of Rome reminds us that nothing lasts forever. Change is the only constant, and even the greatest civilizations must adapt or perish. Section 9. A discussion for the ages. What truly brought down Rome? The fall of the Western Roman Empire was a complex process, the result of a confluence of factors rather than any single cause. Historians continue to debate the relative importance of these factors, but some of the most commonly cited include political corruption and instability. The Roman Empire was plagued by weak emperors, corrupt officials, and constant civil wars. This instability at the top made it impossible for the empire to address its other problems effectively. Economic decline, constant warfare, lavish spending, and inflation crippled the Roman economy. As the economy declined, so too did the empire's ability to maintain its infrastructure, pay its legions, and defend its borders. Military defeats. The Roman legions, once invincible, were weakened by constant warfare, over-reliance on foreign mercenaries, and the emergence of new, more formidable enemies, such as the Huns and the Germanic tribes. Social decay. The Roman Empire was a society riven by inequality and social unrest. As the empire declined, the gap between the rich and the poor widened, leading to resentment, instability, and a loss of faith in Roman institutions. Ultimately, the fall of the Western Roman Empire was a tragedy. a cautionary tale about the fragility of even the most powerful civilizations. It is a story that continues to resonate today, reminding us that the choices we make, both individually and collectively, have the power to shape the course of history.